I am Muzz. I know, I do not speak. I am sorry, please put up with it for now. This isn't something I could just have a voice actor do for me. As it is from my perspective. I am Ma. This is a brief overview of the many things I do and make. I have multiple very separate fan bases and communities that don't necessarily care about my other products, so here are some timestamps to skip to the one you are interested in.
Hello.
I have a cold haircut.
A cold haircut.
A cold haircut.
Cold Haircut is the name given to a series of interconnected animated videos by its fans. I never gave it an official name, but I have adopted the term cold haircut for lack of a better one, the plot of which is not one I openly describe, because I believe that interpretation and analysis are parts of the viewing experience. So simply giving you the answers will rob you of the core enjoyment. Each video is minimalistically animated, crudely drawn, brightly colored, weirdly paced and heavily uses contextless sound bites to create what has been described as a hypnotic experience by a large portion of those exposed to it. I heavily suggest that, if you intend to watch these videos, that you do not binge watch the videos all at once and take a break in between each one to reflect. Cold haircut was apparently so alluring to some that a term was coined for it as a subgenre by Datoon, and multiple series were spawned in direct inspiration of cold haircut.
Geometric Pilgrim.
If you want to watch Cold Haircut, you'll simply have to look for it. Every video is unlisted, so you'll need to find a link. They're not that hard to find. At a first, or even a second glance, some people could easily say Cold Haircut is not of quality, or it has no value. I don't argue with these people. But I do disagree. Visually it's not skillful, and it certainly does not show what I am capable of at all, but I believe that every element of the first season collectively contributed to making its unique experience that needed to be made, not for any good reason, but I could not deny the chance to deliver people to this secret world, a private experience you only share with very few people. I think the evidence that this succeeded in what it set out to do is clear. The fan base is small but dedicated. And no fan can see the word
cold
without experiencing an involuntary thought.
I have a cold haircut.
I like to experiment a lot, and as a way to learn more about webcomics I made one quite a while ago. It was incredibly crude, poorly paced, poorly written, and a great learning experience. This comic was Fighting Roboto. It did not gain any fanbase outside of a few spillover Cold Haircut fans, and that does not concern me. I intend to remake Fighting Roboto at some point in the future. I view the current version only as a rough draft. The actual comic was heavily inspired by my interest in robot toys and figures, stemming from having mismatched components from different combining robot toys as a child and imagining a scenario where combining robot teams had to make do with all the wrong parts. I believe that combining robots in media has stagnated and there is a lot of room for experimentation. I didn't really get far into that experimentation in the first draft, but when I reboot the series in the distant future you'll see quite how far I intend to dissect the combining robot formula. The core premise is that instead of a team of combining robots fighting giant monsters, it's combining robots fighting other combining robots. So far you've seen a cartoon and a comic, but neither of these are really my field. I primarily work on video games as a commissioned artist, although I don't find commission work very fulfilling. My flagship product, the thing I want to actually sell to people, is my own game that I work on whenever my schedule allows me to. Exorcy. A response to how I feel about the representation of demons in video games. Doom and Doom-like games have created a brutish caricature of demons that can only be defeated with shotguns and rocket launchers. I wanted to see a game that treated the demonic similar to how they are portrayed in folklore. As tricksters you must outsmart. Exorcy is like playing chess with demons instead of blowing their heads off. It's also part detective game as you start out not knowing where any of the demons are. You just have a big town and lots of rumors to check out. Exorcy is the only thing I work on that might actually make any money. I don't share much of the development of Exorcy because I realized I was spending all my time worrying about what I was going to post to social media instead of what features I was going to implement. Outside of my cartoon, my comic and my game, I also meddle with helping out in the communities I am a part of. I previously mentioned I am primarily connected to the indie game scene. My gateway into the scene is via the Game Jolt community. I organize events and other small things with Game Jolt. But the main thing I have done so far is organize a community YouTube channel and manage content for it. It started out as just a news outlet for indie games and game jams in the show Game What, one of multiple ideas I initially came up with. The channel is now leaning more towards more documentary and video essay-styled content. And I have a new series in the works as well as multiple one-off videos that I'm organizing with the community. I welcome anyone to volunteer, to help out with the channel, or produce any content they want for the community. Everything I do for the Game Jolt community is purely out of respect for it. I have a lot of friends there and I like my friends to have things to enjoy together. Another community I am not only a part of, and accidentally created, is the Webcomic Network. The story for this is, when I made Fighting Roboto I was confronted with a series of graveyards that were once very active webcomic forums. I found there was almost nowhere that a new comic could get instantly seen. This may seem unreasonable for me to presume, but considering my background with games, it's not. There are indie game forums that can be measured in activity per seconds. There are swarms of indie game Twitter bots that will retweet posts to instantly meet a large and real audience. This environment is not ideal for getting noticed in the crowd, but at least there are clear places to go to find your audience. Webcomics have nothing. There are webcomics subreddits, but every single one I visited prohibits self-promotion, unless you're a strip comic, and using the webcomic hashtags would usually get you zero engagement. At first I thought that the webcomic people will figure it out eventually, but then I realized, how could I expect others to fix problems that I ignore? So I started out by making a webcomic Twitter account that would just retweet posts with no real favoritism. The people getting retweeted became the audience for the other retweets to get engagement from. This got mildly popular faster than I expected. The webcomic community was vastly untapped and craving for communities like Webcomic Network. Also, much to my gratification, I got inundated with messages from webcomic creators that were ecstatic that it was becoming easier for them to get noticed. And then some of them started making suggestions for things I could do to improve this community I had created. One of them suggested I do interviews and some other stuff. A lot of people offered to help me, so I went ahead and improvised a blog and started interviewing webcomic creators. I also have a ridiculously long list of comics that I fully intend to review. I haven't done many so far, but I have heard that it's helping the comic creators that are getting featured, but it could be helping them a lot more. If anyone wants to review comics, to do journalism, write articles about making comics, or to just help out in any way, please get in touch with me. I intend to do something much bigger for this community, although I'm not sure what yet. There is a huge opportunity to improve things for webcomic creators. I don't think I can change anything by myself, but I want to add momentum to the movement. If you've watched this far, and you don't already know, this video is for my Patreon. I'm really bad at promoting my Patreon, it just feels wrong for me, but I kind of have to. I rely on doing art commissions to support myself. Although I hate doing this, I accept that earning money requires work. But the work I do for the community and the network is getting to be a lot, as I don't have as many volunteers to help me as I had hoped. And honestly, I'm already on a very long season break for Cold Haircut, and Fighting Roboto is on hiatus. I work on Exorcy between commissions, but I have an uncontrollable need to help other creators that I see going underappreciated, so if I have to choose between my own artistic expression and giving an indie developer or a webcomic creator a little push to help them get noticed, it's not even a choice for me. As long as I see creators in need, I automatically do what I can to help them. I will finish Exorcy no matter what. When I say I'll do something, it's in stone, but the question is when and to what quality. The ideal time schedule I have in my head has no room for earning money, which is something I have to do. But the community and the network are getting more popular than ever, so I've been presented with an opportunity. Any money I get means I can focus more on Exorcy, and it means I can do bigger and better things for the network and community. And I'm going to try my best to improve the rewards on my Patreon. It's the only way I can justify this to myself. I don't want anything for free. And I want to make anyone that supports me feel that they are getting value out of it.